So I've just discovered you actually have to remove the sunroof metal panel, because when you've got the trim panel in, how else are you going to fasten these? I mean, literally what else? How else are you going to do it? So the only way to do it is to remove the sunroof panel, and that consists of 1, 2, 3, 4 screws along the front, which you can get to if you open the sunroof. The screws look like this. So we've got 4 of these, and they each have a little lock-in washer, which you can see there. To get it out, you have to open it slightly, and because it's not a tilt and slide, because it's a slide sunroof, it actually comes using this mechanism here. It actually brings the roof down from its sealing position, as in that's sealing, so it's sort of sealed position, closed position, and then brings the sunroof and this tray back. And when it does that, it actually disengages the sunroof from this, and you can then pop it up at the back, pop it up at the front. You have to make your way past the actual weather seal on here itself, because that is quite does actually seal quite well, and then it should, as you've seen there, just pop out, and then you can get your completed trimmed panel back in place, then lock it into position with these. It just makes things a lot easier. The other thing I've noticed, or managed to find, is the one over there actually managed to make its way all the way over here somehow. So that's now back in position, so I've got all 10 of them. Right, now that that's solved, let's go and apply the trim to the panel. Something to note on the sunroof version of this headlining, you've got some excess material which sort of sits like this. That's obviously where it's been trimmed, and they've sort of left it there for various reasons. So rather than cut it all the way here, because I don't want to destroy the adhesion that it's got, what I've done is I've cut it deeper down towards the edge, just quite literally folded it over like so, so that it sits under here. So this front one I might need to trim a little bit shorter, but actually, let's have a look. No, I don't think I need to. It'll just be rolled up a bit there. Same with this one here. And there. And then what will happen is this will go up. That'll go right up like that, and then we will, probably with the roof open, put the sealing strip back onto here, and that should hold it all nicely in place. So we now need to move to the rear of the car to get that into position. There we go. Now, one thing I noticed when I put this in, you can fold it, but because you've got this aperture open for the sunroof, it might crack at some points along the run. That hasn't affected things for me so far, but it's just something to bear in mind when you're putting one of these in yourself, that you may get some cracks along the sunroof. Because the non-sunroof one is... Actually, I might chop that front bit off there. Because the sunroof one is a lot... the non-sunroof one's a lot stronger, you probably won't get any cracks, but the material is very flexible and it does spring back into shape quite easily, which is why it's just sat here quite happily like this. I would recommend, though, getting something or someone in the back to hold it up. This is, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, it really is a two-person job rather than trying to struggle to do it yourself, which is what I'm doing. But you can do it yourself. It'll just be a bit slower and more difficult than doing it with somebody. So let's get that chopped off and then move to the back. Okay, so today we're going to finish putting the sunroof in. So we need to get the metal panel in first. And to do that, I can open up the sunroof completely. So let's go ahead and do that now. Here we go. It's a bit tricky actually getting into this one. So you need to sort of go in, there you go, go in like that. Oops. And when you're locked in place, you can then turn. And that will open the sunroof manually all the way back, like so. So that is now all the way open. So we should be able to rest the panel into here. So let's go and fetch the panel. So it's been resting here overnight. And let's take a look at it. Doesn't actually look too bad. Those bobbles there, which have come from the surface I was resting it on, they'll probably sort themselves out. If they don't, you can use the cold ice cube trick. So if you look at it, there's actually two different profiles. This is curved, that one is straight, and it's the curved bit that goes at the front. So I'll try and do this. I'll just rest it there. So that will essentially go in like so. Well, it certainly should anyway. So it might be a little bit of a squeeze. And ideally, if you're doing this, you might want to have another person in the car to press it up and in like so. So once that's in place, we can bring this forward a little bit to about there. And make sure that it is squared off like so. Now we can bring the roof forward and we can start putting it into place. We'll take a look at it in the car. Actually looks rather nice. So we need to start closing the roof. See that it's already on there now, so that's being pressed down. This might be a bit tight. Let's see where we are with it now. Yeah, that will be a bit tight because it's obviously coming into the roof itself, or the roof part is coming over it. So I wonder if I can actually do this. Hang on a moment. So it's actually best to start from the front because we've actually got some points that we can clip into. So we have this point here, which you might need to pry back and then clip into. And if you do get a little bit of paint coming off, don't forget to touch that up, which I'll do with any touch-up pen in a moment. Then screw in your sun visor. I actually broke one of these, so that's currently sat on the desk being glued, or glue set in rather. but make sure that you get this in, but don't do it too tight because you don't want to crack the plate that it's fitting onto. That's the mistake I made. I went too tight and I cracked the latch point itself. So we're going to do the same on this side by getting this tucked into there. Oh, sorry, this tucked into there, if I can. Kind of like that. Might need to be done with two hands, but that'll be clipped in, and then we'll work our way to the back and we'll start fastening things up at the back. Right, let's carry on. So next on the list of things to do is to get these rear C-pillar panels in place. Now, what I'm doing with all of the plastic items that I'm putting back in is giving them a really good clean with some Auto Glim interior shampoo, a paintbrush just to agitate the solution, and then a cloth to wipe it over so that the interior of the Jag is in top-notch condition for whatever Jaguar owners like to do. Tax evasion and high-end theft of some description. Anyway, it's a bit tricky to get in, but thankfully it is just push fitments, so they do push in, and if you get your head sort of about, with the door open, get your head and eyes about here, you can actually guide in, certainly the ones at the front here, and to a certain degree you can get to these. Check the rear one as well, that it's gone in. You'll know when it's gone in because it's, you know, nicely in place. There is a, there you go, single little one here that you need to screw in, which is almost a bit of an afterthought because it goes directly into the bodywork, which says to me that that wasn't originally in the design. That was put in some point along the line, probably quite early into the car's run. You'll probably find that later ones have a proper fitting there, a proper what do they call it, a grommet, to actually allow that to go in. To make this easier to get in, because this is a bit of a pain, it's 17mm, and I found it was easier to remove this. Now it's split, which is by design, and all you need to do is to sort of just push it out and then sort of prise it apart like that, so it goes like that, and then that allows you to just work it off the seat belt. I'll show you what I mean. Excuse the creaky leather noise. I'll show you what I mean with this one. So let's bring the very old lamp over here, which I recently rewired. Get that out of the way. So here you go. So to get this back on, sort of go in at an angle, split it apart slightly, like that. Don't know if you can see that. Let's just, hang on. Let's try this like that. That's better. Oh, that's a lot better actually. So split it apart slightly, like so. Not like that, but if you do this, like that, it should go into place. It is fiddly. It may take a couple of attempts to get it into place properly. And it is one of those jobs that's probably easier doing it with two hands. So I'm going to see if I can balance this here. And see if I can do it. Will also be easier if that is fully in. At the moment that's not fully screwed in, bolted in rather. Right. There you go, like that. And then sort of work it along the way, length of the seat belt. Whoops. But yeah, that's pretty much what you have to do. And then grabbing hold of the seatbelt material, just sort of work it in like so. In fact, if you actually get a bit of seatbelt out from the reel, like that, that makes life a lot easier. Hang on a minute, I will show you in a second. There you go. So, get a bit of seatbelt out from the reel, like so. And then you can get that in place. It is easier with two hands. So you'll be doing this with two hands, not like me trying to show you on camera. I'm trying to struggle to do it with one hand. But yeah, pretty much like that. And then that goes in at the front and clip in at the back. So clip in here at the front, which you might be able to see there, yep, there. Like so. Again, probably easier to have a bit of seatbelt out of the way. There and there. And you're done. And there you go. Hang on, is that doing what it should? Yes, that's fine. There we go. So we just need to bolt that in fully. That we need 17mm, 17mm and on the 1/4 inch ratchet. And there we go. Anyway, the next thing that we're going to do is look at the side rails, because every single one of these fittings has snapped and they are no longer available. So that's going to be fun, but I have some possible arrangements which I might be able to use to try and alleviate that concern. Amazingly, that has actually worked. It's a bit of a fuss getting it in. Ideally you would need two people, or you can use a foot and a hand, and that will kind of press it into place. But that does seem to have actually done the job. I mean, if we look here, it's not exactly coming down in any way, so that's good. That is the rear compartment area of the Jag sorted out. Now we need to move on to the front to make the Jag look more sophisticated and elegant. The Jag. So, going to be the same deal with those bloody plastic things again. Pop them into the cavity, vacuum them out, and away you go. So, let's get on with that. So that's the first A-pillar trim in place, and complete with the very specific Jag grab handle. Boing. Complete with the little hook there for the shirt that you will no doubt need when you are committing adultery in your Jag. And that is effectively one side done, so we just need to do the other side. So we've got the C-pillar trim in place. We've got the grab handle, and we've got the A to B pillar trim also in place. Now there is a specific way that I actually did this, which means that if I want to, I can remove it again quite easily in the future, but it does actually mean that it stays in place as it stands. I also need to buy a new one of these sun visor, because that there has come off at some point, which is a bit annoying because it sort of just hangs down lazily like that. Also, I'm at the point now where I can probably tighten this up a bit tighter, so let's just chuck in a screwdriver into this. Not too tight, obviously, because you don't want to strip the thread. But there you go, that's now nicely in place. That can kind of sit sort of up out the way, but as I say, it does need, replacement. Okay, so let's remove this sunroof key. There we go. I can go and sit back there in a minute. But first, let's get this sorted out. So we've got these to push through, and then we have this to put on. So the way I'll be doing it is I'll be putting these grommets in first. So putting those into the roof line and the pillar, and then these little screws literally slide into here and slide along like so, so that I can fine tune it when I'm putting it into, putting it onto the pillar and roof line. And having those in there is a lot easier than trying to, how it would have originally gone. You would have had the fitments already there, and you would have then had to put it in down there and then slide it sort of like that to get it into place, which works, but it's not the most easy of things to achieve. Still, this is actually looking rather nice. This is the one that I did yesterday, but the challenge after that is to actually get this, just notice a bit of scumminess there. Challenge after that is to actually get this to hold in position. So yeah, that's the next challenge. Right, back shortly. So that's all the fittings put in, and all of the grommets are pressed into the metal. So what I need to do now is this flappy bit here tucks down between the dash and the A-pillar. This just kind of hangs around. I think originally there would have been some tape securing it in place. If you're wondering what that is the VIN identification number, so the vehicle identification number. So it's riveted to the A-pillar, and there's also one stamped on the inner wing over there, so offside inner wing, and there is a VIN panel down on the B pillar. Can't remember if it's passenger or driver's side. So let's get this into position, and you need to then sort of tease this bit in like so. It's a bit more difficult on this side because there's a wiring harness here, whereas on the other side there isn't. And because this is a sunroof model, you've actually got additional wiring for the switching and power for the sunroof motor. So that's the power for the sunroof motor, I think. And that is, I think, for the interior lighting. So power and switch. And interior lighting, which is this one. Actually, there's another one here. Sorry, that's the yellow one is the switch that goes to there. There should, yes, there is. I remember tucking it up there yesterday. There it is, and there. So yeah, there you go. Right, so back to this. What you need to do is you sort of aim it into the general area, making sure not to trap any of the wiring. So that one will go like so. This one will go there. This one into this one. Make sure nothing's trapped there. There you go. Give it a soft whack. Get it fully home. And then you've got these ones up here. So that one there. Then there's another one there, I think. Which is, yep, there it is. So probably can't see that, but right there. Push in. And then the final one is here. And that goes there. A little bit tricky, but because these move, you can move the little screws to get them fully seated. It's just a case of gently bashing it into place. And you're done. Then I'll probably use one of those little orange tools. So one of these. So one of these, just to tuck these wires out of the way. Sort of like so. Easier said than done, but they do kind of tuck out the way. There we go. Right, so I need to put the screw into that one, so that'll bring that up nicely like that. And that has been taken some time to dry, so that should be ready to go. So that one will go there, and that will hold that in place. We can screw that in place. We just need to take this one down again and just reseat that, and then put the grab handle up there. Right, I'll get on and do that, and I'll be back shortly. And here we go, the final result. Just notice that needs to be, need to do something with that, but that's not urgent. Also need to do something with this, but again, much better than a headliner that's just hanging down. Got this into place, and I actually kept off the original roof this bracket, which also contained a couple of clips for the connectors, but there's no clips for the connectors on this one, but they have got a couple of little hooks there for putting this in, and also a point here for securing it, which is quite good, and that's actually built into the sort of fiberglassy resin stuff. And this side is also nicely done, so that's actually, this side's a slightly better finish than the other one, all the way back, and then obviously to the rear of the car. But that is the headliner sorted. I've still got a couple of bits to finish here, which can be done at a later point. I need to work out how I'm going to achieve this. So I'm thinking, as I said earlier, possibly some sort of hook things that then will sort of secure it like that. But as it stands at the minute, this is much better than a headlining which is just hanging off all over the place. And it just looks a lot better. A couple little detail things, as I said, but otherwise it is looking a heck of a lot better. Link to the vendor of this headlining in the description. And would I recommend them? Yeah, I gotta admit I would. Very pleased with the quality of the headlining. There's a couple of detail things which you need to work out for yourself, as I've mentioned earlier. But overall, the quality of the headlining is excellent. The ease of getting it into the car is just frankly superb. Very happy with it indeed. And that is that. Anyway, if you found this interesting, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Thanks for watching.